It is 85 days till the man burns, and today we're talking about bringing your parents, because for some of you it's a dreaded concept and for others it's an amazing one. You know, it really depends on what kind of people your parents are and what kind of relationship you have. But this is going to focus more on the people that kind of don't really want their parents to come to Burning Man with them. Because I feel like if you want your parents to come, you probably wouldn't be watching this video because you're just like, hooray, my parents are coming. This is amazing. And I do think that bringing your parents, it could be the family holiday of a lifetime. It could be amazing. But like I say, it depends on your parents. So if you are feeling a bit apprehensive about your parents tagging along, then try and figure out exactly what the problem is. Like, why do you feel apprehensive about it? Is it because you don't think that they're really a good fit for Burning Man? You don't think they're going to enjoy it? Is it because you feel like they're going to cramp your style? Is it because your parents maybe don't know what you get up to at Burning Man and it's kind of a side of yourself you don't really want them to see? If you feel like they're the problem, like they aren't really a good fit for Burning Man, you don't think they're going to enjoy it, then that's not such a huge problem. Have them start, going through the process of being a first timer. Have them start looking at the survival guide, start filling them in on what Burning Man's really like compared to what they might think it's like. And, if they aren't a good fit for Burning Man, they may realize that along the way and decide that, actually, you know what, we're not going to go. It's not for us. Because there are a lot of misconceptions about Burning Man, and maybe they're not aware of exactly what it is, exactly what going to Burning Man entails. So just having them be really well informed about it is going to help them to make that decision themselves about whether or not it's really right for them. If it's your problem, it's a bit more difficult. If you are feeling that you're not going to really be able to just express yourself and do whatever you want because it's a side of you your parents perhaps haven't seen or don't really know about, or just kind of you don't want them there to see it, that is more difficult. It's nothing to feel bad about. I'm sure that everyone has things that either their parents don't know or that they just don't do in front of their parents. Like, I don't really drink in front of my parents because I don't want to get drunk with my mum. But it is kind of selfish to try and stop your parents from coming and doing something they want to do, from experiencing something they want to experience, just because you kind of have those hang-ups. Anyone that wants to come to Burning Man that has put in the effort to inform themselves, they know what Burning Man's all about, they know about the culture and they want to do it, it's pretty mean to kind of take that opportunity away from them. So figure out what it is exactly that you are worried about your parents seeing. Maybe you want to go nude there and you're worried you'll bump into your parents. Talk to them. Chances are they are not really going to care if they see you naked because they wiped your butt for years. They have seen you naked probably more than anybody else in the world, and it's not going to be a big deal for them. Maybe you're worried about drinking or partying or just, expressing yourself, and you're not comfortable with the idea that your parents might see you do that. Again, have a chat with them about it. Just be upfront. Say, I really like to party hard and drink a lot and stuff at Burning Man, and I feel a bit weird about you being there and maybe seeing that. And then, it gives your parents the opportunity. Maybe they're like, we actually don't care what you do. We're going to Burning Man to do our own thing. If you want to, drink until you pass out, like, have fun. And, a lot of the things that people feel like a taboo around their parents, it just comes from the fact that they raised you. And so they drummed all this stuff into you, like, you shouldn't swear and you shouldn't drink and stuff. And, that's because you were 12. But you're not 12 now, probably. Probably old enough to be doing these things, and they're aware that you are an adult that does do these things. You just have that leftover feeling of it being something taboo because they're the ones that were always telling you, like, oh no, you can't drink, it's not okay. But, if you're old enough to drink, it's fine now. Those kind of taboos and things that you see as being forbidden in front of your parents are probably not anymore because you're an adult. For a lot of people, it's just you that feels that way and your parents, don't. And give them some credit. They were young once too. They probably did many of the things that you do. It's just, they're your parents. They don't really talk about it with you. There is also the option that you could camp separately. Just because you're family, it doesn't mean that you have to camp together. And that can be a good way to give you, space and freedom and to feel like you can express yourself with kind of not under your parents' watchful eye. Even though I do think it can be an amazing experience if you are coming with your parents or family members or something to spend time together. You know, if it is really something where you're like, I don't want my parents like around while I'm at Burning Man, I just want to like be able to do my own thing, then, you know, consider camping separately. You may find that they don't really want to camp with you, especially if you're going with, you know, a large group of people. They might be like, you know, we'd rather just kind of camp separately from you guys. Again, it's another thing worth discussing with them because they may have no intention of camping with you at all. You may just happen to be in, you know, the same thing at the same time. And if you camp separately, it means that you can still meet up and spend time together. You just have that space. And maybe your parents want that too, because maybe there's things that they want to do that they feel like, you know, you're their child and they can't really freely express themselves with you around. Because there is this like parent-child relationship, there's like a dynamic in your relationship where, you know, parents kind of tell you what to do because they want to keep you safe and stuff. And that generally, it doesn't work too well at Burning Man because, you know, it can feel a bit crowded. Although I'd love my mum to be at Burning Man and be like, hey, don't forget your jumper, darling. That would be amazing. For some people, it would be really natural when you get to Burning Man for that dynamic to not exist or to not be quite as, like, strict and confining. But for others, it might not. And if you feel like your parents are maybe not gonna just naturally kind of relax, then again you might want to have a chat with them about that and just discuss exactly how that dynamic is going to work and what kind of is acceptable and what isn't. Because you really don't want to end up having a row with your parents at Burning Man because every 2 seconds they're like bothering you to do something or trying to stop you from doing things and you're like, Mom, no, Mom, it's fine. And in some cases that dynamic will reverse. If your parents are first timers and you're not, you can always feel like their parent because you're trying to like make sure that they're okay and that they're going to survive and they bring enough water and they're putting enough sun cream on and stuff. And that must be a bit weird, but you know, that can happen as well. If it does shift, the thing that you want to watch out for is becoming kind of a tour guide or a babysitter. You know, your parents are adults, they have made it to adulthood, they are probably going to survive Burning Man and they will probably be a better first timer than you were because parents are good at stuff like that. They're good at being like really prepared and organized. Don't be like following them around being like, have you drunk enough water? Are you hydrated enough? Have you put sun cream on? Where's your hat? Where's your dust mask? And don't feel like you need to escort them everywhere and accompany them everywhere. You know, they might just want to go and do their own thing without you hanging around all the time. Just like you probably want to do your own thing sometimes without them kind of following you around. So whether you're camping together or separately, make sure that you do have that space and time away from each other and you're not joined at the hip the whole time. And chat about it beforehand because if it is being seen as kind of a family holiday, usually on a family holiday you would spend, you know, all the time together and you would decide each day like, okay, we're doing this today, and then the whole family does that thing. And that probably does work for some families that go to Burning Man, but for other families, you know, it's not going to work so well. So really chat about, you know, expectations because you don't want to get told off by your mum because you went on a day-long adventure and she thought you were coming to a workshop with her that day or you were going to do this with her that day. No one wants to be told off by their mum at Burning Man. Remember that Burning Man is very large as well. It is quite easy to not bump into people if you don't want to. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to spend Burning Man feeling like I was kind of keeping half an eye out all the time to make sure that I wasn't going to bump into someone or they're not like just around the corner or something. So if you do have any mischievous deeds that you feel like maybe you need to confess so that you are not going to be stressed out about it at Burning Man, it's definitely worth getting those out of the way. I'd rather have, you know, like a reality check conversation than to spend Burning Man feeling a bit on edge about whether or not my parents are about to walk around the corner. And be prepared for your parents to maybe have a few of their own mischievous deeds that they want to confess to before you get to Burning Man. It can be worth laying down some ground rules as well for just how things are going to go while you're there. Like, if you are going to camp separately, maybe you want to set some ground rules about them just kind of swinging by your camp whenever they feel like it. Maybe you want to set aside some time that's like specifically family time and family adventures. Maybe you want to set ground rules about, things like nudity. Maybe you'll all agree that, nudity is just off the table. Everyone's going to wear clothes all the time because you don't want to see your parents naked and they don't want to see you naked. Just figure out what things are going to make you all feel nice and comfortable and nice and happy, and avoid any drama or tension or stress. And having a discussion where you just figure out ground rules about what's okay, what's not okay, how the dynamic's going to work. It's just going to make things much easier when you're there because you already know, how to not annoy your parents know how to not annoy you. And so hopefully you will have a nice drama-free time. Make sure you let them do a lot of their own prep as well. Don't become kind of their tour guide or their teacher. Like, obviously, help them and chat with them, and if they have questions, answer them. Don't be like, no, you have to do this all on your own. But if you take over all of that aspect and you're like, oh, don't worry, I'll prepare everything, and then they're not really getting the full Burning Man experience. They're not going to be as aware of kind of how much goes into it and what it's really like when you're there. That's why, everyone should read the survival guide so they're really informed about this kind of stuff. Even if you are camping together or you're going as a group and they're part of your group, they should still be involved in the prep. Because I think if you're not involved in the prep, you kind of get there and it feels almost like a regular holiday and you're not really prepared for what you're getting yourself into. You just kind of get there and you're like, oh wow, this is not what I expected at all. I do think that going with your parents can be an absolutely amazing experience, even if you are feeling apprehensive about it. I think if you just communicate with each other about why you're feeling apprehensive, maybe lay down those ground rules, things like that, then I think that it can be an amazing experience and can really bring you closer as a family, because it really is the kind of thing that you just wouldn't get with any other kind of family holiday. You'll probably see sides of each other you haven't before. There'll probably be some surprises in store. But I do think it's the kind of thing that can really bring you closer together as a family and let you know each other better. It's definitely going to be one hell of a family holiday. For any of you still kind of struggling with the idea, I would suggest checking out, I have a video on bringing high maintenance people. I'm not saying that your parents are high maintenance, but parents do tend to have a slightly higher base level of living than younger people. They probably don't want to be in a dusty old tent eating beans from a can on the floor. They might want something a little bit nicer. And maybe the relationship survival guide, because even though they're not your partner, you do have a strong relationship with your parents that is, I don't want to say similar to the relationship you have with your partner, but you love them, you love your partner, you guys know what I'm saying. So I'll try and link those videos here, and if I don't, then they're somewhere on my channel page. So I hope this was helpful, guys. I hope that any of you that are toying with the idea of bringing your parents just have an absolutely amazing time, and that your parents really, really enjoy themselves. And if any of the rest of you have any tips or anything, let us know in the comments. And if any of you have any experience of bringing your parents along, then let us know about it in the comments. And if any of you see me at Burning Man this year, feel free to come and say hi to me. Bye, guys.